As expected, the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has announced his appointment of a new chairman for the Independent Electoral Commission. The person so appointed is Professor Joash Amuputan, a lecturer of law from the University of Jos, an indigene of Kogi State. And of course, this appointment has put to bed all the speculations about who will head the National Electoral Commission. But what does this portend for Nigeria? Does it mean that everything is okay now, that a professor different from what people were expecting has been appointed to become the head of Nigeria's electoral body? My name is Rimamnde Shawulu. This is The Other Side. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's appointee is a 58-year-old professor of law from the University of Jos. His appointment fulfills two things which appear to be important for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's strategy for winning the 2027 elections. The first thing is that the appointment satisfies the ethnic nationalities of northern Nigeria who have been clamoring for inclusion in governmental affairs in Nigeria. Professor Amuputan is a Yoruba man also, and he satisfies the yearning of the Yoruba people that no Yoruba man has ever been appointed the chairman of the National Electoral Commission. Professor Amupitan hails from Ijomu in Kogi State, the very place that one of the founding fathers of the Middle Belt, late Bello Ijomu, comes from. The fact that people from Kogi State have been associating and working actively with the Middle Belt, it is presumed that his appointment would have satisfied the yearnings of people from northern Nigeria, especially the ethnic nationalities, who are saying that they need also to be represented in government. And as well, there have been agitations of recent among the Yoruba people that no Yoruba man has ever been appointed to lead the national electoral body. And so here we are today. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is killing two birds with one stone. He is satisfying both the Yoruba and the northern ethnic nationalities. Of course, this appointment of Professor Amupitan received some commentaries online. Some of the commentaries resulted from the incomplete CV of his that was published online, which gave the impression to some commentators online that he may have tampered with his age. People were wondering why he could have gone to university, graduated so early. But of course, a fuller CV that was issued also online seemed to have answered the question that born of school teachers, he may have been privileged to go to school early, indeed very early, and would have been privileged to skip some classes as he did in primary school and gone to secondary school without completing the mandatory 6 or 7 years as the case may be. And so that afforded him the opportunity to complete from university quite an early age, and to the extent that among the people that he even taught in the university were people who were of the same age with him. However, the appointment, as important as it may seem, may not really answer the questions that people have raised about the integrity of the electoral system. And today we are talking about the chairman of the commission being important because people are afraid that the electoral system is flawed. And because the electoral system is flawed, you need to have somebody you trust at the helm of affairs in INEC. That person will appoint people who will conduct the elections. And usually, as it does happen during election cycles, politicians at local, state, and national levels will submit names of people that they believe will do what they want to become returning officers, to become presiding officers, and to be part of the people who will conduct the elections. And of course, the fact that political parties and individuals interested in political positions usually determine who is appointed by the electoral body as presiding officers or as other electoral officers. You will need to know the person who does the appointment to enable you have people that will do things the way you want them to do. And of course, this is important only because in a climate like Nigeria, rules don't matter. I do remember very distinctively that in other climes, such as the United States, once someone has been appointed and has sworn allegiance to the country and to the office, he no longer has allegiance direct to the person who has appointed him. That was why in the case of Bill Clinton, after his scandal with Monica Lewinsky, the Attorney General then, Janet Reno, who was appointed by Bill Clinton, set up the STARS Special Investigating Committee to investigate the person who appointed him into office. And that led to the impeachment of Bill Clinton. And of course, Bill Clinton did not do anything, did not sack, did not reprimand Janet Reno. She served out her term. And people are hoping that when you appoint people with integrity, people that will follow the rule of law and do things rightly, the electoral system will go right. There have been agitations, of course, in the civil society that we should change the process of appointing the electoral umpire, people who pretend over the election process, that the people should not be appointed by those who are seeking elections or holding political offices, that a process that is independent will result into the appointment of independent persons who will handle the office fairly and squarely. Of course, to be clear, the fact that people don't do things well is not simply because of who appointed them, but because of the failure of moral standards in the country that makes people to be beholden on those who support them. Sometimes the self-censorship or the sacrifice is not even because they have been asked to do those things, but they simply do those things because they feel that the way they can survive will be to do things to please those who have appointed them. In other climes, you hardly hear in the United States or United Kingdom who is the chairman of the Electoral Commission. This is because that actually does not matter. In the United States, for instance, election processes are handled at state and local levels, and you don't have one person appointed from the federal system who now determines how elections take place. Various states have different rules for the electoral processes, and things go right. I'll come back to the point that I have made some time ago, that the major problem that we have in Nigeria, and indeed most of Africa, is what I think is amoralism. We have reached a stage in Africa today where nobody believes in anything, where the lines between black and white have been blurred, so blurred that there's no longer any serious difference between what is right and what is wrong. To the extent that, as it is today in Nigeria in particular, our children are growing up not knowing what is wrong or what is right. Our children are growing up to know that to win elections, you have to know the election officials, you have to have tons of money, you need to have talks or people that can beat people, seize result sheets or the thumbprint ballot papers as it used to be. And if you want to win elections, these are the process that people know, and it is not good for our polity. What is your take about the noise about who is going to be the electoral chairman? Is it because, as we now know it in Nigeria, the INEC is another line of elections that you have to win in INEC before you win among the populace? After winning among the population, among the voters, you may also need to win in the courts of law. What is your take about it? What do we really need to do for us to clean up our electoral process? Let me have your take. Please share and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to join us as a member. My name is Rimamnde Shawulu. This is The Other Side.